Welcome to the MGEU. The MGEU is the largest union in Manitoba, with members in every corner of the province. You'll find them in hospitals, on highway crews, in libraries, and government offices. Just under half of the MGEU's 32,000 members work directly for the provincial civil service. Others work in Crown corporations and a wide range of community public services, including healthcare, social services, education, and arts and culture. Every day, this diverse group of Manitobans comes together to pool their resources and efforts to build better working lives for all members. Today, employees who belong to a union enjoy better wages and benefits than their non-unionized counterparts. That's because they have access to rights, resources, and expertise that they could never access on their own. Every paycheck, you and 32,000 other members contribute a small percentage of your salary, so together we can bargain the best employment contract possible. As an MGEU member, you work under the protection of a collective agreement negotiated with the employer. This contract covers a range of work-related concerns, such as wages, hours of work, and benefits. Manitoba Public Insurance members have elected Doug Ayers to act as one of their bargaining team members for close to 20 years.
A new member should really take the effort to make sure that they read the contract, firstly. I think it's like an owner's manual. A lot of people get it and just don't read it. So read it and ask some questions. Ask questions of your coworkers, ask questions of your shop steward, so you get a bit of an understanding. But what you got to realize is something that you want to get put in the contract just doesn't magically appear there. It usually takes a lot of effort in terms of time. We have to build quite a case as to why we want something in the contract.
Bargaining is a process. It has steps that need to be taken in a certain order. The first being that a meeting is called within your local. As a member, simply having an idea will not go forward. Mentioning it at coffee will not go forward. You need to come to a meeting. That's when you come forward and put down what you would like the bargaining committee to fight for.
Then as a bargaining committee, we have a meeting in Winnipeg amongst ourselves, and we collect all these ideas and see if there's any common themes. Is there a bunch of people from different areas coming up with the same idea? Because if they are, then this is obviously something important to a lot of members.
And from there, of course, there's another whole process with dealing with the employer. And all these steps have to happen, and they have to happen in that order.
The biggest challenge, I would say, is to know to what extent or what are the limits of our colleagues or of what they would consider acceptable. Because when you're at the table, you have to give something to the administration. And you can't just stick to your points and say no all the time. You have to say, okay, we'll let this go, but we'll keep this. And when you're doing this, you always have in mind that the fact that, well, maybe our colleagues would prefer the reverse, but you have to make a decision there. And you can't always go back to them and say, okay, now we have this and that, what do you choose? Okay, and then go back to the table. No, you can't do this because you would never be finished.
The process is to get a contract done and the best we can get. I don't forever think we're going to get everything we want, because that wouldn't be bargaining then, that would be more demanding. It's also, part of it is to make sure management doesn't get everything they want. It's a negotiation process, it's give and it's take. So for me, every one of them, the most rewarding thing is at the end of the day when we have a contract that everybody can live with.
The biggest reward was when we presented the results to the members, when we said, okay, this is what we're ready to sign. Now, do you agree with this? And we had everybody agreeing.
Together, we can invest in effective MGEU leadership. Every year, the MGEU trains hundreds of workplace activists who learn the ins and outs of their collective agreement and help their coworkers stand up for their rights. Corey Bird has been a steward with the corrections component for over 6 years.
My father-in-law was a firefighter. He retired after 30 years, and he was very heavily involved with the union, with the firefighters. So he encouraged me, to do forth. He says, what you want to do is you're not just looking at today, but you're looking at tomorrow. For yourself, it's your life. You want to make sure that you have a hand in it and you can do what you can in working with the union.
I think that's part of my personality, is to become involved. And so when the opportunity arose that I could become involved with the union, I jumped at the opportunity and sheepishly went into my first meeting. But when I found the support at the meeting that I attended, I knew I was in the right place and with people that were wonderful people to learn off of.
I believe that the MGEU is only good as its members, and if its members aren't properly educated and they don't know, all the little things, how are they going to get the information, not just themselves, but to the members when they're asking questions and they need answers. So it's definitely important.
I feel that I'm more prepared to handle management if they're not abiding by the contract, which is an empowering feeling. The next thing I want to take is a public speaking course, and that would help me with my job, because a lot of times I am having conversations one-on-one with people. It's always good to know the right way to say something.
You're not just teaching the people about the union, but I think in a roundabout way, they're learning more about themselves, they're bettering themselves, and I think a happy worker is definitely a good worker. That one day away from work, and learning these new things, and you bring them back, and you actually can see, holy smokes, hey, I just learned about that. You talk about different scenarios. And that money is definitely going towards, something good that people can, talk about and pass along to their other coworkers.
Together, we can stand up for you on the job. Jerry Tom, a chief steward with the Manitoba Housing Authority, helped file a policy grievance against management, arguing the job requirements of tenant services workers had expanded, but the employer had yet to come through with a pay increase.
The frustrating part was management saying this is what they're going to do and then not following through. Our job description did change. We're doing new duties, doing the new duties without the pay. And so when the ruling came down in September, we were quite pleased with it. So in terms of a new member, they need to know who their table officers are in their local. And once they know that, they need to know their contract with regards to what their issue is. And you need to determine whether it's a grievance or whether it's a complaint. And to bring that information forward to one of the table officers, myself as a chief steward or the other officers, and they will help get the information, document it, and then take it forward. Overall, it's to make sure that everyone is working together, and the grievance is to make sure that happens. And it's not to pit the employer against the employee type thing. That's not the intent of that. It's to work cooperatively.
Sometimes standing up for members' rights means taking your story public, whether it be a rally on the steps of the legislature or a full-scale ad campaign.
Good evening. They say they are overworked, stressed out, and worse. They say they've been threatened and even beaten up on the job. Manitoba's social workers are supposed to protect our most vulnerable citizens. As Wabgishik Rice shows you, they want the government to help protect them.
Ray would actually come to the hospital with me for meetings.
An ad campaign trying to shine light on the good things Manitoba's child welfare workers do. A job that's getting tougher and more violent.
Josh Goronsky, a member with Manitoba Highways, participated in a radio ad campaign to promote safe driving in construction zones.
My name is Josh and I'm a Manitoba Highways worker. This summer as you travel with your family, please make sure I can go home to mine. Slow down in construction zones. It made me feel good that I'm a part of it. It made me feel good that I had something that could maybe save a life that might get through somebody's head. Public education is a very big part into today's workplace, and the MGEU really helps, get that point across.
Together, we can advocate for your rights and benefits. Michelle Sabinski, a computer programmer with the province, knew something had to be done about working conditions in her office.
We work in an older building, and there were a lot of little issues going on in terms of maintenance and issues like that. So someone had to get this whole workplace health and safety going. I contacted the safety and health officer with the MGEU. I started to get involved and just started looking around and realizing, wow, there's legislation that there are issues here and they are not being addressed, but there's legislation, to deal with this.
The union is definitely as strong as its members. That, you know, it's an old cliche that everybody goes, oh yeah, they roll their eyes. But in reality, that's what it is. And it's our union to make it as strong as we want it. And to sit back in your workplace and to complain and not actually get involved to do anything, again, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So to fix the problem, we all just stand up, unite, and get out there and make sure that we are respected, we're valued for what we do.
Knowledge is power, and without that, people wouldn't know what to do and how to do it. Something as simple as basic 2 days of training every year for every person that's a member on a health and safety committee, that's just vital to keeping this going. And if you don't have this education, how do you know? Actually, it's kind of funny. We had a washroom door that swung the wrong way, and every time someone walked in, and if someone was walking out, they would get smucked in the face. So we actually had our door changed, the swing of the door. Very simple resolve to the issue. In a union workplace, we are very fortunate. You don't have to go and start yelling and screaming at an employer. You can go to a health and safety committee member, air your concern, and it can be taken up in confidence.
Together, we can tackle big picture issues and grow stronger. Chris Broughton is president of the Paramedics of Winnipeg, Local 911.
Essentially, our group used to have our own independent association. At one point, we recognized the value of being a part of a larger trade union, and we went shopping around for what group best suited our organization's needs. MGEU, the way it's organized, we felt was a very strong and the most appropriate way for our members to be represented. You have the ability to be represented as an individual, as a group, and as a career, and then you have the ability to be represented on a much larger scale as the 33,000 members of MGEU. And then even beyond that, through MGEU's affiliation at a national level.
Belonging to our national union, belonging to things like the Manitoba Federation of Labour, the MFL, also gives us an avenue where we can lobby directly with government to change issues for unionized workers and for labour just across the province or across Canada. We listen to what the other provinces are fighting. That gives us a common ground as well where we can do national campaigns. We can help each other out, whether it's in privatizing liquor, whether it's in strikes for healthcare workers. You know, the issues that correctional officers are dealing with across Canada, and you find out that we're not actually alone in what we're dealing with in Manitoba. Every other province as well is dealing with these issues.
One of the things I'd love new members or existing members to know is that the union gives you a voice. I can remember getting some members involved and them going to an MFL convention, and things that were discussed on the floor at that convention. Lo and behold, a few months later, you know, our government is reacting to that, and they're putting policies in place to ensure these things get taken care of. And then when things get in place here, then they go further and they go further. And so that one little voice, that one little hand raised saying, I support this issue, I believe this is an issue we need to fight for, is huge. And to me, that's the biggest thing, that you have a voice. You can change policy. You can change laws. And bargaining, when you think of it, look at the provincial mat leave we have. Look at all those things. They all started from bargaining. They were the successes that happened at the bargaining table, and then our government thought everybody should have that, and certainly they should. But it happened there first.
Have a question? Call the MGEU Resource Center 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday at 982-6438 or visit the website at www.mgeu.ca.